when we think about being a dad and we think about the decisions that we have to make, sometimes it's easier to just work or try to build the business or try to do things in work mode because we're good at it. It's familiar. We've been doing it for a decade or two or three or more versus the dad thing. This is newer. We don't know it as well. The default isn't this life of experience. And so I find that, like, for me, I have to show up very intentionally, because if I'm unintentional, if I'm just letting my subconscious lead me, I'm always just going to kind of veer towards the things that I know well, the things that I'm good at, business, versus showing up intentionally for my family.
It's probably the theme talked about more than almost any other in the book. And finding that balance is hard. Here's what's interesting. If you go all the way back to purpose and like, what's our purpose for being here on this earth? What's your purpose as an individual? We're all going to have our own answers to that question. But what I can almost guarantee is that every single person will have an element of wanting to find joy and happiness in life. And what I find fascinating is that for many people, if you drop the ball on family and parenthood and all those sorts of things, and you focus on the short-term wins around work, you sort of miss the point if purpose is sort of your North Star or guiding light. And by the way, let's be real. There are times where all of us need to drop those things because work will come first. The question is really about the patterns and behaviors we develop over time. And it's a trap. If we get sucked into the whirlwind too much, it's very hard to undo, a reputation you've built with your kids or your spouse.
Yeah, and it becomes a routine. It becomes a habit. So you got to be really careful how you're spending that time and what decisions you make. When do you choose work over family? When is family over work? I'm part of a dad's group that I believe you're familiar with, Front Row Dads, that
Yep.
one of my closest friends in the world, John Vroman, started, and I'm the hugest fan. And one of the things that we talk about, and he's going to be on our episode for Father's Day, but one of the things that we talk about in that group is that we're family men first, businessmen second. And I love just how that mantra helps people show up better, differently, more intentionally for their family.
You know, Jeff Woods, back to where we started the conversation, said something interesting to me on his podcast recently that we did together. He said, if you think about business relationships, you think about brands, those tend to be rubber balls. And if you drop them, they're going to bounce back. They may not bounce as high as you want, but they're going to bounce back. Your relationship with yourself, with your health, with your wife, with your husband, with your children, whatever it might be, relationships with people, those are often more like glass balls. And if you really drop it, they can crack. And it's so counterintuitive that those are the balls we often let go of first. And I think it's an interesting lesson to keep top of mind.
Yeah, for sure. And, something that's been really helpful for me in just making these types of decisions. When do you choose what and how do you show up? For me, Craig, it was taking whatever situation it is and looking at it 10 years from now. What is the thing that I'm going to remember? Am I going to remember this business deal? Am I going to remember this? I had to show up and do this work, whatever the work is. Like 10 years from now, am I even going to remember that? But what about that memory with the family? And is that going to be a lasting memory? And that really has been a guiding principle for me in a lot of the decisions I've made, both work or, travel. Let's say I'm super busy right now, but am I going to remember the busyness of this, small little moment in life? Or am I going to remember that I didn't go on this amazing trip or meet these amazing people or spend time, quality time with my family, and maybe an exotic location. And so that has been a real good North Star for me as well.
I love it. And to build on that point, I think one thing that I've learned, and it's actually a theme that comes out in the Dad Advice Project, is there is a hybrid. So historically, personal life and professional life were kept very separate, and people were very intentional about that. What we've done with our family, and again, quite a few of the authors talk about it, is tried to find ways for work-life integration. So I'll give you a great example. Rex Kurzius, one of the authors, super inspirational guy. He talks about how we give our kids exposure to sports and arts and crafts and music so that when they're in situations that require memory recall for those types of activities, they just jump in and they do it. But when it comes time to dad having or mom having a work conversation, we close the door so that our kids don't interrupt or hear what's going on. That makes no sense. Rex says, open the door, invite your kids to listen in on speakerphone when you're interviewing someone or to help you name a new product or business line. And now dinner time conversations become richer and you've given your kids exposure to more sophisticated business type topics at an earlier age. And for us, look, I realize we're very lucky because Topgolf's a unique business, but we take our kids to Topgolf all the time to try out new games and try the food and experience what other, 5-year-olds and 3-year-olds are experiencing. And our kids are proud to be a part of that. And I think there are times when it doesn't have to be a this or a that. It can be a yes and.
Yeah, I could not agree more, Craig. And like, I'll even just say this, like, I'm super guilty of this. When I first started podcasting, I remember, having my door closed, letting my family know, hey, by the way, I'm going to be recording. If you wouldn't mind being quiet, that would be wonderful. Although we all know how that goes, right? And I just remember like trying to be in this place where I wanted to control volume, and I could hear, kids, running around in the house and footsteps, and my daughter's friends are over, and they're, I mean, literally just total pandemonium going on. Or sometimes she'd want to jump in and see what I'm doing and just, take a look. And for a season, a small, short season, I was like, oh man, I'm trying to control who comes in, who doesn't, when you can talk, when you can't. And that's exhausting. And I'm actually disappointed that I even took that direction, because the moment I loosened up and just said, hey, I'm going to be recording now, feel free to carry on. And my editor can, edit stuff out. And there might be stuff he can't edit. And oh, well, people just kind of hear the real deal of what's going on. So my daughter will pop in periodically, and it's just so much better. It's more fun. There aren't as many like walls and lines in what people can and can't do. And it has also just kind of been a lot smoother on the family front, so that my wife doesn't feel like she has to keep anyone quiet. So you're spot on when you say that there's this way that these worlds can collide, and we want to give our kids that exposure. I mean, I want my daughter to know about this. I know you want your kids to know about this. So great point.